From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And I'm Jennifer Landa.
And we are here to break down some of the D23 news. There was a lot more than maybe was expected or less than what was expected, depending on your point of view. Today, we're going to be focusing on the Skeleton Crew. Got a teaser trailer and some key art reveals and a lot of things to discuss in that. Before we get to that, as always, our news show today is sponsored by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. In the back of my head, I went, man, we've been doing this for so long, I got every word down. It did not. That was my pause. We are recommending Rebel Rising by Beth Revis. It's a book to check out, maybe revisit in the audio form or hear it for the first time. It's one of our favorite books around here and very much in the era that we'll be discussing in tomorrow's episode about Andor. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Helps out the show. That's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. Some big life adventures on the way, but before we get to that, Joseph, we've got an ask.
That is right. We are continuing to ask for your help to grow our YouTube numbers. We had several great growth spurts from Jennifer Landa's wonderful videos. A couple of those went incredibly viral, so we got a big boost there. And then when we were talking about the Acolyte, some more people found us, and we're hoping to get to 10,000 subscribers. What date? Soon. As soon as possible. We will we'll get a little bit more organized on our ask and maybe have an actual date that we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers and what we'll do if we reach it. You know, all those good marketing things. But until then, we are just asking you to continue to check out YouTube, and if you enjoy it, give us a subscribe there. We're just about 9,500 subscribers, and we've really been enjoying the growth. We've been really grateful that so many people have been checking out YouTube, and in particular, having good conversations in the comments where people share their own perspective, particularly on like our Subjective Wars episodes. It's so great when we post something like, hey, we got to choose between R2 and 3PO, and to hear people's personal stories about which character they connect with and why. Everyone's been great in the comments. So please keep it up and get us to 10,000.
Yes, get us to 10,000 on a TBD deadline that we'll announce. But no, it's been a lot of fun. Well, from there we got some Star Wars and life adventures. And Jennifer, we're going to pitch it to you here because I think a lot of people are on pins and needles. Your finals were approaching. Your return to school has been much discussed in the Force Center Discord. Where are you? How are you? What was your adventure?
I actually went to Disneyland the middle of my finals week. Wow. Yeah, it was brave, but it was my daughter's birthday. And I just have to share, they have the reservation system, booking the rides and stuff like that. And so Smuggler's Run was packed until like a 9:00 reservation. And I'm like, we're doing it. We're keeping the kids up. 8:45, our Uber drops us off in the parking lot. You guys, I'm looking at my kids. We got to go get this double stroller. And I'm like, we're never going to make it to Galaxy's Edge in 15 minutes. The parade was going on. It was about to go on. So the lanes are blocked off. We grabbed that stroller. My husband, I was concerned for people's safety. He was like barreling through Main Street with this double stroller. I'm like, come on, this way. And it was like an adventure, right? Like every entrance was blocked off. We finally get there. I pull up the app at 9:01. We got to Smuggler's Run. There was even cast members telling my husband in Galaxy's Edge, walk, sir, walk. And I'm like, go. So anyways, we got there, got on Smuggler's Run. It was my daughter, my now 5-year-old. That was her one birthday wish. She wanted to go on the ride, the Star Wars ride, she said. I was like, I will honor that wish. And then at the end, when we were done, she's like, let's get out of here. Who knows what's going to happen?
Did she enjoy it, or was she?
Oh yeah, she loved it. It was like her third time now. They love it. And my older daughter, she pilots. She's a great pilot. Although I think we did crash.
Yeah, I crashed.
Yeah,
that's part of the fun, to maybe crash a little bit on purpose. Is she good enough that she's doing it on purpose? Like, I want this to rock.
I know. It was so fun. Oh, it's just nothing. And then we watched the fireworks. Have you guys seen the fireworks at Galaxy's Edge?
Mm-hmm. No.
I had never seen it with the Star Wars music. It was the most incredible fireworks display I have ever seen. I'm not joking. Yeah. They had like these shooting star fireworks.
Oh, I think I just saw the general fireworks while
Hmm.
in Galaxy's Edge. I don't think I saw anything that was like specifically Star Wars themed.
Yeah, there was like a droid who was sharing some story and it was like some sort of lore. And I'm like, crap, I haven't read the books. I don't know.
The fireworks show is canon.
It's canon.
There you go.
I think
Oh,
you really don't need to read books to understand fireworks. I think is an across the board truth, in my opinion, is the way it should be.
did you see the droid, Joseph? Did you see the droid at Galaxy's Edge
I feel
sharing the
like you're
spiel?
describing a dream you had.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was
I
a
don't think-
droid in the sky and it was telling stories and it was real.
no,
No,
back me up in the comments, guys.
really. No, so was it like a drone show or was like
Yeah.
fireworks made a droid in the sky?
No, like before as we're all assembled in the area by the Millennium Falcon, there's this droid that emerges, and he's like talking like a robot, like a droid,
Yeah.
and he's talking about some sort of story and some sort of person, and this is the story that this person relayed to the droid, and he's going to share it with all of us. I couldn't hear, and I was like, oh shoot, and then the fireworks started
Okay, so it's a
Okay.
droid that was in person.
in person.
Okay.
Oh,
no,
it
I had
wasn't
not
in the
seen it.
sky.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I know this. I'm not describing this well at all. The droid is on some sort of platform
Okay.
by the
Oh,
Millennium
okay.
Falcon.
Gotcha.
Got it.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry. This is my
No.
terrible communication skills. Yes.
No.
So
No.
yes, he's on a platform, physical. He's quite large. I don't know what
Okay.
type of droid he is. He doesn't. I don't know.
This
Yeah.
is all brand new to me. Now,
Yeah.
now I'll go to Disneyland tonight. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
That would be great. I'm sure it was just like about the culture of Batuu, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, shoot, it's been a long time since I read the Galaxy, what was it, the Black Spire
Black
book?
Spire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
read that. I obviously don't remember any of this stuff. So
I don't think there was a storytelling droid that I remember, but
No.
they're expanding the canon
Oh.
live in the happiest, fastest place on earth.
I haven't been
no.
since 2020. I'm like, I've stopped reading the comic books. I stopped watching fireworks shows. Can't keep up.
yeah, there's some Easter eggs there. Sorry.
Strikes. Red arrows. Red arrows.
That's great. That's great. So did you then just like race back out of the park as fast as humanly possible and leave, or did you linger a little bit?
No, we went to Pirates of the Caribbean, and then we raced out of there as fast as we could. Yeah.
Nice.
My kids
Yeah.
love pirates, so yeah, it was a
Oh,
fun
yeah.
adventure.
It's a great nap spot.
The revamped Pirates ride is great.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a good sleep. I sleep at least once in Pirates of the Caribbean on each visit. I just love it. So relaxed.
Relaxing.
Well, yeah, you might have won the Adventure Wars. Joseph and I both traveled, but you saw droids. You dreamed up droid fireworks. I mean, quite the adventure. Joseph, do you want to go next? Did
Yeah,
you see any droids in Marin
I
County?
saw no canon fireworks at all. I think all of the fireworks I saw were non-canonical. They were not accurate to the story. Terrible, terrible fireworks. No, I've had fireworks of adventures this week. An old friend of my wife's, and at this point, an old friend of mine got married up in Marin County, where all of the cities I have to check before I say them, because I was in San Rafael, I believe, not San Rafael.
San Rafael.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. We were near many wonderful Star Wars things, so we didn't have a ton of time to explore, but we did look up where Skywalker Ranch was, and we drove out there, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be great for the Instagram. I assumed that there was going to be like a sign, and it was just like a gate with a number and a buzzer and a security camera, and it was beautiful and it was gorgeous, and I felt inspired and special, and I took a photo and was like, I don't know if I'm gonna post, just like, look at me at someone's house in a valley with it's not a private address, you can look it up, but still. So that was like both moving and kind of funny. And then after that, we drove back to the area we're in and realized that we had been in San Anselmo, which I believe is the parade where the parade location where Boba Fett made his first public appearance in that county or state fair or whatever that was. So it was really great to be close to all the Star Wars stuff and inspiring to think about Lucas making the choice to move everything from LA to that peaceful, meditative valley setting was really beautiful.
I love that. I love going back to those docs, no matter Empire, Dream, Light, and Magic, where you have certain teams, members of Lucasfilm, being like, "Yeah, they asked us to move from a warehouse near the airport Van Nuys to Northern California." I went.
It was just fine. Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were driving up there. Like, yeah, this is a lovely commute. Yeah, yeah. Also got my first tattoo this week. It's still peeling and healing, so I'm not posting about it. But man, was that a great experience. And it is not a Star Wars tattoo, but it made me think of some of the ethos of Star Wars. It's a design I made, and then I looked for the right tattoo artist who I thought would be communicative and want to talk about it. I've had like bad haircuts with, frankly, dudes who are just like, I have 6 haircuts and you're getting one. And I didn't want a tattoo from a guy who was like, yeah, I know. I wanted to have someone I could have a conversation with. I found the right person, and it was a really great experience. That she understood what I wanted and put her own artistic flair on it. And it was one of those really nice moments of like, trust, collaboration. It's great. It works out. So really beautiful experience.
Wonderful. No, I can't wait to see it fully revealed. We should do some sort of countdown on the live stream. Just hold your arm up.
Probably a little too much build up there. But yeah, those are some of my adventures. But Ken, you traveled as well. And you probably also went to a place that maybe George Lucas has been. But
you know what? I don't know. I don't know. Spent a long time. It was supposed to be longer, but we had a flight delay at 2 minutes before I was heading out the door of the airport. Our flight got delayed to the next day. So God bless the airline industry right now. No, it was in Little Rock, Arkansas with Mark Ellis doing some comedy shows at the Looney Bin Comedy Club. Thanks for having us. I think it was a weird experience. I love exploring new towns. Didn't get to really explore Little Rock proper, so I want to be clear about that. But it was a weird sidewalkless city. The humidity was the worst I'd experienced in a while. I've experienced some humidity in other parts of the country, but this was pretty bad. At least a couple days. But anyways, we had a good time, and I did get to meet some ForceCenter listeners out there. Rocky came to a very weird first show. That was some weird. I almost feel like I owe him for that one. It was just weird audiences all through the week is what I'll say, but fun audiences. I met Tim, and then I also met Will, who is a longtime ForceCenter listener, and Will and I had a great conversation about our excitement for Skeleton Crew, which is what we're talking about today. So it was a good opportunity to finally meet some folks face to face. And Will did what I always joke, but I actually really, really mean, which is when you show up, don't just say, "Hey, it's me, Will, from Discord." He had his real name, Will Dixon, which he's helped us before and some stuff, and very nice. And then he had his Discord username, like his Patreon name, and he held up a card. It's like, "This is me," and it was. It's just a little helpful thing for you all have different usernames. So, anyways, great time out there. Ate a lot of fast food. And a lot of Dunkin' Donuts and a great meal at Olive Garden. So that was kind of the trip in a nutshell, but a good time indeed.
And you did a set at Olive Garden too, right? Did you get up?
I did a set of eating breadsticks and salad. I don't go to Olive. I literally have not been to Olive Garden since 7 years. I remember the exact time Grace and I went, and we were like, "Let's go to Olive Garden." We're not going to do that again. But Mark and I did. And the salad and breadsticks, they killed.
Beautiful.
They killed.
Beautiful.
So that's our adventures. But while we were all doing things, seeing droids in the sky or on the ground and going to weddings and doing comedy and all these kind of wonderful things, D23 went down in Anaheim, bigger than ever. The presentation, I wasn't checking in regularly. They did it at Angel Stadium. Did they put part of it in the stadium? I was so confused to what was going on. What happened to the convention center? I don't know. But it was big. And we are going to focus today on the Skeleton Crew part of the presentation. We're going to do a separate episode on Mandalorian and Grogu, Andor Season 2, and any kind of leftover bits, so stay tuned for that. But we want to get into the Skeleton Crew teaser trailer. It was the first official public release of the Skeleton Crew teaser trailer, and that occurred Friday night at D23. This version slightly differs from the Celebration Europe teaser and reveals a little bit more context for the main plot. We got kind of what we had heard before, and some of the pictures made us think was going to happen. Is happening. Suburban space kids Wim, Fern, KB, and the Ortolan Neil dream of adventures beyond their lives and discover a lost ship called the Onyx Cinder and its first mate, droid SM-33 or SM-33. That is Nick Frost's character. They're launched on an unexpected adventure as they're lost in the galaxy and need to get back home. We'll discuss our favorite moments in a bit, but we wanted to kind of look at it overall here. And Joseph, what do we think about the look, the feel, the vibe of the footage? And does it help set up any themes and stories that we're already expecting or wanting here?
Yeah, it was great to finally see this cut of it because honestly, my memories from London are kind of dreamlike, like the droid in the sky. So it was very, very good to finally see this. I think the biggest thing that hit me watching it was this great sort of contrast between this sense of the lost and the romantic, with the main kid Wim's apparent sort of obsession with Jedi is stories of adventure from old that are lost now, with the hollow and that sense of I want to find something weird in the woods. I want to get off this planet. That's all very like forward looking, but so connected to this old idea from Star Wars of the old and the new that goes back to A New Hope of Luke doesn't just want to go out into the stars. He wants to reconnect with this sort of lost idea of the Jedi, and goes back to the 70s, that sort of lost idea of heroism in adventure that Lucas was trying to reconnect with. So that whole sense of the lost and the romantic, combined with lots of great images of suburbia, which I know we're going to talk more about suburbs in Star Wars. But what I was struck by is not just the yeah, it looks like the ET suburb, but more that it was connected with ideas of suburban life that I grew up with in the 80s, that suburbs were a symbol of safety and comfort, but also a little bit more of monotony, of sameness that maybe might make you long for adventure. So I love that all the images of the suburbs were rows of houses, rows of desks, and things that felt maybe warm and comfortable, but also boring as hell, that would make you go, I want to find something ancient, lost, and romantic in the woods. So I love that contrast between the lost and the romantic, and kind of suburbs as a symbol of potential monotony, and the idea that even safety, which is good, can be monotonous. And it did what I wanted to, which made the adventure feel scary. I feel like adventure is fun that scares the bleep out of you. It's not just, a fun thing we did today. It's a fun thing that takes you into a place of risk. That is adventure, and it gave that spirit.
Well said. Love everything you're saying there. And Jen, before I pitch it to you, I'll say this. I think we all kind of grew up in the same era, and the suburb thing, that everything you're talking about, the theme of the suburbs kind of carries to many generations, of course. But you're touching, Joseph, on exactly what it felt to ride your bike up and down the street, feeling infinite, but also being afraid to turn that corner, the one that your mom said don't go down. And I thought that was really well done in this trailer. So yeah, well said indeed. Jen, the vibes, the feel, the footage, where are you at with it?
I loved it. And I knew that I loved it, but I wanted to see what my kids' reactions would be. So I literally forced them, which is never great, but immediately they kind of let their guard down when they started seeing the kids. The fact that there's not that many adults in this trailer, I think, is really, really important. It's told from the kids' perspective, but it also feels very relatable for us as adults. We get into these routines in our life, and our boring desk jobs or whatever they may be. We long for adventure. So that taps into people young age and older age as well. And I just thought that they did a really good job giving the gist of the show without revealing too much. Although, it's a teaser trailer, so I wouldn't expect that with something like this. But they liked it, and I'm going to force them to watch it, even if I have to pay them in Robux. I don't care. They're watching this show because I think that they are going to enjoy it. I think.
You make a really good point that I think we definitely did get quick flashes of scary places they're going to go and weirdos they're going to meet. So you got a sense of that adventure. But this really was, which I appreciated, just the hook and lots of it, of really every quote in this thing from mostly, I think, from Wim, was basically like a theme statement, a real adventure, no
Mm-hmm.
more pretend. What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? I loved how
Mm-hmm.
clear it was.
Hmm.
I really love that too. For some of our favorite moments, I think I wrote down a quote or two as well because it just was. I love what you said, Joseph. Theme statement, and some clarity and purpose to what this trailer is, and yeah, in terms of just the vibes and feel, it dare I say, cinematic at times, and that can be a. I don't know. That can be a heavy-handed word sometimes. It could be a backhanded compliment, or it can be just a outright attack on other Star Wars properties or other shows. And I don't want that to be the case. But I just felt swept away immediately. And I'm with you, Joseph. I kind of remember the footage in London. It had a lot more of the parents.
Hmm.
You got a sense that we are going to spend some time with the parents. And that, Jen, you're making me think of how important it was. Like maybe that can be put on the shelf at this point. Right now, we're going to focus on these 4 kids because that's the story. And it's not that this is a kid story. There's some universal themes, but like you're seeing all of this through their eyes. And the parents, they'll come in, they'll be there, and they'll be there for older adults to look at the kids through their eyes, I'm sure as well. But I like the choice to just kind of focus on the kids. And it all had a dream-like feel to it. Like you said, Joseph, going into the woods. Who hasn't had an adventure in the woods where you knew that you might not come out? It was just in the backyard of your friend's house. Where you're like, anything could happen here. Anything could happen. So I love that. The footage reveals Star Wars in the suburbs, a Star Wars suburban setting that is. I don't, it's not unlike any Amblin era movie. Joseph, you said the ET thing. I mean, there's almost. It makes me feel like they were like, let's kind of have some fun with a classic ET shot looking down into the valley. We also saw Carrie Condon as a teacher in a classroom setting. So a lot of the talk post-reveal was about the Star Wars suburbs. We had known it was coming. I think we even have discussed it or teased that ourselves here in ForceCenter. Having seen some of that in London was one of my favorite things about it for a lot of the reasons we just talked about. But to see it kind of out in the public, I won't say there's been debate and discourse, but it's definitely in people's minds like, oh, crap, we're going to the suburbs in Star Wars, and we haven't really done that. So how do we feel about this, real-world adjacent setting in Star Wars, Jen? Does it feel like a routine, safe home?
I love that they're focusing on the mundane, the monotony, as you said, Joseph, because we know that have known that it exists, right? So to be able to see it and see why Luke really was pining for adventure, because his area, granted, it was a desert, but I don't know, it seemed like there was a lot of fun things going around. But this looks very real world, right? It looks very much like our world, and I loved seeing the Ithorian walking their pet.
Yeah.
Just these little Star Wars touches. And it actually reminded me of Harry Potter a little bit, where we're blending this fantastical adventure, the fantastical world with the boring, everyday life. So I think that was successful.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. You're making me think of Luke staring off the twin suns, this iconic moment, truly living in Modesto of space. Now we can highlight that. Joseph, your thoughts on the conversation around the suburbs reveal?
Yeah, I haven't listened to anybody else's take or spent any time on social media, so I don't know if there's any sort of negative pushback to the suburban vibe. It is visually like a little on the nose in terms of the Amblin of it. That was the only thing that I kind of bumped on of like this. There is no subtlety. We're being bonked with the 80s Spielberg Amblin stick, which I kind of don't mind because I feel like that is the tradition of Star Wars. That if you knew Flash Gordon, if you knew, Kurosawa, if you knew the John Wayne movie, The Searchers, there was no subtlety in the original trilogy to the lifts from those inspirations. So I don't mind that at all. I think Star Wars has a great tradition, particularly in building environments of it is exactly what you know, but slap some Star Wars on it. And I mean that is a compliment for myself in a good way. So what I really loved about this is seeing some variety in the galaxy in terms of environments that help tell stories, because we've seen lots of, frankly, villages and communities that are coded as rural, agricultural, frontier, even like the little fishing planet that Mando goes to in the Sanctuary episode in the first season. So many are like a tiny little subsistence community, or we've got the big, dense, sprawling urban environment. So to see something, and those are in the real world, both coded with the good and the bad of those places, and what kind of people live there, and what kind of attitudes are shaped by those environments. So in the post-galactic Civil War, to see a suburb which suggests wealth, or at least upper middle class, probably on a core world, I'm going to guess, after the trauma of an empire and a galactic civil war, in seeing well-intentioned parents, teachers, society almost have that same in American history. Hey, the Depression and the war were really scary, so let's make everything very safe and familiar. I feel like it's not just, hey, suburban space. I feel like it's dealing with the storytelling and the ideas that might come out of that community of, why wouldn't all of these parents and these teachers want their children to be very safe, not exposed to danger? And why wouldn't kids go, why can't I go around the block where you can't see me, where the house might be different than all of our houses? Why can't I have that? And I just love that this trailer seems to suggest like the warmth and the safety and the community that is good in a suburb, but also I gotta get out of here and see something different. That it's got both of those is all great storytelling stuff.
Baby, we were born to space run. I agree with you there too, in the sense of like, I don't think you're suggesting this at all, but like, I don't think the series is here to examine America, the post-war suburban boom, but to draw from that, it kind of makes sense in the Star Wars story, what you're talking about, Joseph, right? Post-galactic civil war, we all have a chance to go forward and decide who we want to be. I think that Kerry Condon moment of this test is going to determine your entire future. Like, we've got that energy. And I like you're talking about, the Sorgan of it all. And Jen, you bring up Tatooine. Like, we've got that in Star Wars. It makes sense for Star Wars. We got the big city planets. The whole city is a planet. We got that. Both kind of sci-fi in their own ways. They explore, how the cultures are built and our adventures were about to begin. But the middle ground is I think, something that I would think exists. It's something that makes sense post-Civil War, like you said. So I'm not bumping up against it. I loved it at London. I remember, like you said, it's very clear what we're drawing upon, including bikes in the woods and I've been up to the ET house. My friend Paul Preston does a little movie location tour. We drove up. And I'd never been there until this was like last year. And it's you have that feeling you just look over a city of safety, city of routine. So I'd like to see that explored in Star Wars. It's something new. And to what you're saying, Joseph, of the discourse, I wouldn't say it was a ton of negative out there, but I think best summed up by our buddy Alex, Star Wars Explained, who was like, hey, it's something I'm going to have to get used to because it is different. And I think there's a history where I look at Dexter's Diner or just Attack of the Clones going, hi, we're a 1950s movie. Like, we're doing something that you're very familiar with. Noir, diners, and we're doing it in Star Wars. And sometimes there's that initial kind of wall. I had a wall up to Attack of the Clones for that. Like, what are we in we're in a diner. Now there's a diner in space. And it's like George going, yeah, and here's what it represents and here's what it could be. And I've come around on that in a big way. And I'm going to meet the show where it's at, on the streets of the suburbs, riding your space bikes. I think it's a good spot.
I mean, I think when a lot of people first see the original Star Wars film, they haven't been to a lot of dive bar cantinas. They're not like, where's the originality? It's just a dive bar. Yeah. But then when you get older, you're like, okay.
Jen, any other thoughts there on the suburbs?
I think that one of the challenges is that I don't want to say Stranger Things kind of did it first, but we really associate that Amblin-ness with Stranger Things and the bikes and the kids and they're playing D&D and it's like the suburbia, right? Like that came first, but actually in this story, it feels much more truthful, like you guys are pointing out, with where what's happening with the galaxy, why the galaxy would want to have this kind of suburban community and this safety. To me, it actually makes more sense. It's less of I don't want to say Stranger Things is a gimmick, but you know, it was definitely more of like an entry point for Stranger Things where it's like fun, pop culture, This is more like grounded in the canon, if you will.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm curious to see when they give us more teases of the parents, how much of that Stranger Things vibe of the parents struggling is going to be there. But yeah, I don't feel like the storytelling of Stranger Things is focused on the area.
No, but it makes for fun costumes.
That it does. Yeah, and I don't want to keep referring to the London footage. Not everyone can see it, but I'm just, Joseph, maybe you can even help me remember it. Like, not only more of the parents, but there was more of dad or mom at a day job and the kids are missing. And I'm not even saying that's going to be a main thread throughout the series, but you would, no surprise that the parents would be concerned that their kids have run off on a space adventure they don't know. But that was something I did like. I remember when the footage, it was like, all right, cool, Amblin, neighborhood, parents are in this job. The parents didn't come off as rebel war heroes or Jedi Knight leaders or anything magical and mystical. They're just trying to make their way in this galaxy too. And I think that all kind of added to the feel of it as well, leading to what got revealed here.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more footage or be reminded. I could be misremembering, but the way I took it is they were coded as more upper middle class. Like they had real good jobs in the New Republic, and that there was a real panic, send up the flare, our kids are missing. Where you can imagine, if poor Owen had survived, Owen Lars shambling down to some sheriff's office, maybe it wouldn't have been a big deal that Luke went missing. But this had a little bit of like, our kids are missing. Put their pictures on the blue milk, awooga.
Yeah.
Had a little bit, and I'm so curious to see if they kind of play into that. And that Stranger Things, I think, has a real great through line of the fear that the parents are letting down the kids. So we get that adult storytelling, and I'm curious to see if they'll go there with the parents and with Jod, which I know we're going to discuss. The Jod of it all.
The Jod of it all. You're making me laugh too, but thinking back to Owen Lars being like, "Where's Luke? He's gone. All right. Well, hope he's in the other part of the farm by midday because there'll be hell to pay. And there's hell in Star Wars." Yeah. Maybe there will be one of those parents. There's always the one who's like, "I don't care. Let them have fun." You mentioned it. Parent. What's not a helicopter parent?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Yeah. Jen, where would you be in Star Wars right now at this point? And where you'd be like, my kids are on a double stroller adventure. I don't know.
I'm trying to be more like Owen, but they have to have these experiences. But I'm like, where are they? No, they cannot leave our house. We live in the big city.
That's true. Joseph, you mentioned Jude Law's character, Jod Nanawood. The Force is present in this trailer, as revealed in London, but highlighted here is Jude Law's Jod Nanawood, which maybe he said his character's name. I was going to look up how, because we had that wonderful discussion on how to actually say that, but the musical Jod Nanawood version is in my heart. He appears to use the Force to retrieve a skeleton key as the kids are in captivity, and one of the kids, I do believe it is Wim, who has been watching the holo of a Jedi in action, a holovid, if you will. He calls him a Jedi, so the Force, at least in concept, or at least in assumption, is in this trailer and in this show. What are our thoughts on the Force of it all? Then we'll get into some speculation on that character, Joseph.
Yeah, I really love how present it's that he's watching the holo. He's guessing that the ship is an ancient Jedi temple. He is sure right away, like you said, we'll get into whether or not Jod is actually a Jedi, but he is certain of it. So looking at the trailer, I love that the Jedi in this are positioned as stories of old that aren't that are maybe real. I remember being a kid and being, my parents being concerned that I knew that Star Wars wasn't real, that I knew that superheroes weren't real. And then around the same time, we lived in Oregon when Mount St. Helens blew up. And I was like, wait, volcanoes and dinosaurs are real. Are you sure about the Jedi and the Force? So I love that there's this tension in the trailer of it is something heroic, adventurous, romantic, and lost in Wim's eyes. So I think it sort of sets up this idea of whatever Jod is there going to be a story of Jod not living up to Wim's hollows and Wim's imagination of what they were, and Jod stepping up to be sort of reminded that, like, yeah, that is what somebody who has my power and perspective, I can be that hopeful, I can be that optimistic. The view of a child dreaming of a hero is not naive. They're a reminder that that's what I need to be. I'm wondering if that would be the story. It seems like that's the vibe that the trailer is going into, and I like that it is once again a Star Wars story that has some great meta ideas, because I think it's our relationship to Star Wars. Every once in a while we have to go like, I had these action figures, I had these dreams. Are they naive, or are they actually worth fighting for?
Love that. You're bringing some real poignancy to the conversation about this wonderful little magical moment, Jen. I will say I do love the moment. We'll talk about moments after the break, but love the moment, loved it, and loved the idea of, the Force. It's around, and these kids are going to run face first into the Force. So what do you feel, Jen?
I love that it is seen, the Jedi are seen as a myth. It makes sense in this timeline, right? That they're a thing of the past. But that the kid, Wim, correct? That's the,
I believe it's Wim, yeah.
Yeah, Wim, that he is, I don't want to say obsessed, but it's like that gives him hope. And that feels very relatable, where everyone's like, that's not real. That's a thing of the past. And he really is wanting it to be real. And we are going to get to experience that through his eyes. And that is, that's just fun fantasy. It's what I grew up wanting to believe, like you too, Joseph, that the Jedi were real. Don't tell me I can't move this pencil with my mind. Come on. But yeah, I really do. I like that the Force is present and is going to be a main character, if you will.
You're making me think of something I experienced, and this is, could be laughable. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player for a while. I absolutely was convinced I could, but at the same time, it's something so far off. I know they're real. I know they exist. I can watch them on TV, but here I was this 12-year-old kid, and one day, playing my Commodore 64 upstairs, my mom calls me downstairs, and they were selling a dining room table, and a Major League Baseball player who was raised or lived in the area, his name was John Orton, he was a backup catcher for the California Angels, showed up to our living room with his sister and brother-in-law and bought our dining room table. And it was like, and I got called down, and it was as if a skeleton key flew across the room, because it was like, this is a real person. And he was so nice, and I was nervous and sweaty and embarrassed that he signed something, but and he was a catcher, and I wanted to play catcher, and it was kind of this like, doff of the cap, keep your dreams alive, kid. Now, my dream of being a baseball player died probably within a year after that, when I realized I couldn't make the high school team, but it had that magic to it. It was like off my TV screen and into my living room to buy the dining room table that I had cereal on, that I had microwave spaghetti dinners on, like or cold hot dogs. Like, it's real, man. And I thought that's why I think I love the presence of the Force in this trailer. It just makes a lot of sense, especially for a kid who is dreaming about something specific, Jedi, or the adventures that they have. So I don't know, worked for me.
Yeah. That's a great story to see, like the fantasy just walks into your house and does something so mundane as like to buy. It's like, don't you already have tables, man? You're a baseball star.
That was hilarious, because he tried to pay with a check. This is 1989-ish. Tried to pay with a check. This is how we found out he was a Major League Baseball player. My mom and dad were like, nah, we're not taking a check from the stranger, cash only. And the sister was like, tell him who you are. Tell him who you are. And I was upstairs, and he's like, my name's John Orton. I play, and I was just like, he hit his first Major League home run against the Yankees. It was a right field shot.
Oh my gosh!
So, yeah,
that's hilarious. That's great.
Wow.
Even Jedis have dining room tables. It's true. But we do want to get to some speculation. It's early speculation. We've had some of these discussions, but we can dive right into it. Is Jod Nanawood a Jedi? Wim calls him one, and there's a lot of people online, I'll update the online discourse, who are like not buying it. It's Wim's perspective. Wim says it's a Jedi temple. I don't necessarily think that was the Jedi temple. It's more of the ship. He's watching the Jedi adventures on his iPad. But what could this all mean? And I'll be direct. Do you even want Jod to be a Jedi, form a Jedi, lost Jedi, survive Order 66, all those kind of things. Jen, where do you go with the Force and the Jedi of it all around Jude Law?
I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he's Force sensitive. He has some Force abilities. I think he is kind of a trickster. I have no idea. I'm just making this all up because I haven't been up to
No.
date on anything.
No.
And I think that he's going to make the kids believe that he is, or they're going to want to believe that he is this almighty trained Jedi, and he's gonna let them down. And he's going to have this moment, like you're saying, Joseph, where he's going to have to realize, oh, this is important, to not let the kids down. And I'm going to have a change of heart. And he'll reform his ways and be more honorable. I think that he's used it to kind of con his way throughout the galaxy.
Con man, little smuggler, scoundrel con man vibes you're picking up.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
I don't disagree. No, and there's a lot of people in that circle, Jen. You're not alone in that, and I have some of those thoughts too as well. But Joseph, when that hood comes off, do you want to believe right then and there that this is a Jedi of some sort?
Well, this is the problem. I want to believe, but there's some evidence that's holding me back. Should I be hopeful and optimistic, or am I being foolish and naive to not look at the evidence? Yeah, I mean, there isn't to me enough evidence in the trailer. It is very much constructed to tell us a story of a kid who wants to see a Jedi floating under every rock, under every floating rock, I guess. And I could even see we're not getting much of the perspectives of the other kids. It seems like Wim's the ringleader who talked them into this. I wouldn't be surprised to have one of these kids be a sort of comic foil of like, I don't want adventure. I like being home at 9 p.m. this year BBY and playing my Star Wars Dreamcast and being negative about it. Or another character who is like, you see Jedi everywhere and I'm mad at you for it. Like I can see that being a tension among the kids. Yeah. The way that shot is constructed, the way he takes his hood off, there is a little bit of sort of posing to it. So we did just kind of have this story in the recent times with Kamal Nanjiani's role of Haja Estri in Kenobi as the con man pretending to be Force sensitive. Specifically, he's pretending to be a Jedi. So I could see a more fleshed out version of that story. We're just speculating responsibly in that we won't be mad and flipping tables bought by baseball stars if we're wrong. But it does seem like he's maybe going to be a character who does need to live up to the idea of a Jedi. And that would be interesting to me if he's Force sensitive, and it'd be interesting if he isn't and says, and the kids kind of do learn the lesson of those ideals are valuable and anybody can pursue those ideals. You can face your fear. You can face the scary monster. You don't need to move rocks with your mind to do that. Would also be a fine story for me. But I really hope he is a Force user because I like the Jedi. I like the Force. I think it would be fascinating to me if I would love it if he was a Padawan who flunked out a long time ago. And that's how he survived, the Order 66. And it would be a great story if he was somebody like, Kanan, who kind of had to make the choice to look out for number one for a while. And hadn't come out of that yet, and is needing to be there for these kids. That made him go, I got to stop from just defensive, keep myself alive. It's a new time, it's a new era. I can use the Force, and maybe I should.
I'm right there with both of you on the idea that he's projecting something that he isn't, but maybe there's something that he was, and it all's got to all come together on this adventure, and the kids and the idea to protect the kids and all that kind of stuff might change him. I think that's wonderful stuff. I need to own my own personal baggage. Like I want to separate any potential discourse around him being Force sensitive or a Jedi, and now we got another Order 66 story. We got this, or the positive spin of it is does he know Cal? Does he know Kanan? Does he know that? That could weigh me down, and I'm trying. I've decided post Little Rock. I'm gonna be less grumpy. Had a great conversation with our buddy Will Dick. I'm looking forward to Skeleton Crew, and I don't want to get bogged down by things that aren't in the trailer or in the show or things we don't know yet. But I also have to own that comes into my head a lot of like, if he's just a Jedi, we're going to have this. But the reason is I want him to be. I'm Force sensitive. I love what you're suggesting, Jen. I could see that. It all makes sense. Joseph, the idea that he's projecting something that Wim wants to see. By the way, I like the idea of Neil being the character that just says, "What do you mean?" every time. Just that's like his only line. What do you mean he's a Jedi? What do you mean adventure? But for this show, for this series, and again, trying to be very careful. Want to be clear? Love the Acolyte. Love a lot of the questions that Ahsoka, the series, brought up about Jedi and what it means to be Force sensitive and who can train. I think they're all wonderful things. And I actually love Order 66 stories. I think it's a pretty big event that we can string out a lot of different stories from. But for this story and where we are right now, and plus for us here, holiday season show, I do want him to be Force sensitive. And I do want there to be something magical and unexplainable that maybe the kids learn or he learns and lessons to be found in it. But I don't want there to be, he's not there to take them and train them. He's not there to start that conversation. He's not there to question anything about the Order. He is one with this magical force that is kind of not understood in full by these kids, and that he would represent the idea of future adventure or life or choices, including the bad ones that he makes that maybe he can reverse with this adventure of his own. But I just love I want to believe. I'm Wim in this moment. It's where I came out of this trailer. I am Wim. I think this is a Jedi. I think this is magical, and I just want it to be wonderful and warm and a hero. That's where I'm at.
No, I'm with you. I want him to be a Jedi, and the little bit of discourse conversation I will allow myself is I wonder if people will be frustrated if it is, if he is a con man, and the trailer's not promising us anything one way or another. But I wonder if there'll be some I think people have strong feelings when a trailer makes an effort to lead you the wrong way, as opposed to leaving questions open. That this trailer could potentially be seen as trying to get a bunch of headlines of a Jedi in Skeleton Crew, and then have to be like, he's a con man. Might lead to some bruised feelings. But most importantly, going back to the original Star Wars, the idea of the Force, the idea of there is something larger out there, there's something that connects us all. The Force is a metaphor for the talents and the dreams and the ambitions that we have, and that we should be encouraged to use our abilities and pursue them and be our true selves, and all of those ideas that the Force can mean. I would love to see this show celebrate.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jen, any final thoughts on Judd and Norwood and the con of it all?
I just have to say that the reveal cracked me up, because you see the key moving, you see the hooded figure, and I'm like, Luke Skywalker? and it was Jude Law, and I was a little disappointed. I'm like, we already know this. Like, if we didn't know that Jude Law was going to be there, it was just the camera, the slow push in, and the reveal. It was very much like a celebrity reveal that oftentimes you see in movies and TV shows, but it just cracked me up. I'm like, yeah, we know Jude Law's in it. I thought it was open for another Jedi.
Plo Koon, yeah.
Plo Koon.
That is really funny, because I think for all of us who really pay attention to Star Wars, it is like yeah we know that's the only thing we've known for it feels like 8 years that Jude Law's in here. But but for somebody who's not in the bubble, to being like, do I want to watch this show with kids? Oh, Jude Law.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah. Oh, Jude Law. Whatever happened to him and Sienna Miller? Sorry.
Yeah, we all wonder. Sienna Miller, Jude Law, what happened? Well, that'll be another center. Relationships of the Stars, what happened? My final thing on this too for me is again trying not to lean on, hey, I saw this in London, but Joseph, I felt when this key reveal happened, which was in the trailers, something we had seen in London, there was kind of a collective excitement, but also like Force is there. It makes sense. It was a magical reveal the first time I saw it, if I'm recalling.
Yeah,
I felt that.
That was my memory as well, and I really hope that it is a more complicated story and in a different story, because I got no problem with Order 66 stories, but if he was just like, yeah, no, I flunked out, especially when we're starting with a kid taking a test, right, and saying this is gonna determine your whole life. It'd be fascinating if he was a Jedi, like, yeah, no, I flunked. I did not pass the trials and I gave up. Would be a fascinating connection to these children looking at their own future.
He's like, and you got to go back to school and take your test. And they all look at the camera. And Jen goes, oh, man. No more tests. All right, well, that is our look at the vibes. That's a vibe check on the teaser trailer. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to get to some of our actual favorite moments and then some of the additional information that was revealed of the Skeleton Crew at D23. Stick around to more ForceCenter right here. All right, we are back, and we are diving in deep to the Skeleton Crew teaser trailer revealed at a big event at D23. Again, someone check. I thought it was at a stadium. Did they kick the Angels out for one night and just put it at a stadium, put it at the Honda Center? Maybe I was dreaming that up. I was up for a long time flying back from Little Rock to Denver to here, where the Illuminati got me in the Denver airport. This I can confirm. Let's get to some of our favorite moments. Jen, what do you got in terms of your favorite trailer moments?
There were so many fun ones. Okay, first of all, I genuinely forgot that this was a series. I thought it was a movie. And I told my kids, we're going to have to go see this in the theaters. And I'm like, oh, that's right. It's a show, Disney Plus. So that was, first of all, I thought that the production looked fantastic. It looked really expensive, which I appreciate. There's a shot of the kids on the ship when they're jumping to hyperspace. That felt really new. It's a shot that I don't think that we've seen in live action, like kids on the ship. I really, really liked that. I thought that was fun. Of course, Fuzzball, which I believe is from Captain EO, the little creature that's in the cage, flipped out when I saw that. Rick Baker's Wolfman character, the species I can never pronounce. It's just, Is it a wolf?
Well, I did my best impression of you, Jennifer, and researched this because I love the wolf guys and I always get confused as well.
Right.
So there's the you got to. I have no idea what the correct pronunciation is, but all I think about is trying not to swear. There are two wolf guys. There's Lak Sivrak, who's got the sort of unaltered, just wolf person mask, and canonically he is a Shistavanin. I don't know how to say it. Removed entirely in the special edition. And then there's the other wolf mask, which was that basic one that Rick Baker messed up more for a different production. And then they used that in Star Wars as well. And that character is named Arleal Shoos.
Yes.
And is a different species, Defal.
Right.
And Arleal Shoos was almost unlocked as an action figure in the recent Cantina HasLab. Arleal Shoos was like the highest level and sadly didn't get unlocked. But I definitely think that's a wolf guy, whether it's a Shistavanin or a Defal, who knows? But I'm excited. I'm Team Wolf Guy with you, Jennifer.
So exciting. They had them on display, I believe, too, right? Some of the space pirates at D23. I saw some of the costumes and stuff. It looked really cool.
Yeah, they had Vane, who's saying Mando Gran. I say Gran. This Shistavanian Wolfman Jack character, and then a K2SO Imperial class droid, a little beat up, which I don't know if that was part of the pirate team or if it's Nick Frost character. I got confused, so I apologize.
Yeah, but so many fun little Easter eggs.
Red Arrow.
For our previous conversation.
Any more moments, Jen? Any ones that stand out?
No, those really stuck out to me.
Cool. I got a couple. Joseph, I want to close with your takes on some of the big moments. I did write down the quote that Kerry Condon's teacher character says, "Tomorrow's test will set the course for your entire future." I felt that one in my soul. Opening up the baggage here. I was one of those kids who was, you got a great future. You're so smart. You're going to go to 4-year college, and something about having your future decided for you freaked me out. And I did get a little depression set in, and I didn't, and I did not go to a lot of the paths that maybe I should have. Maybe I should have not been afraid of. A lot of fear, but it had that the moment that they cut the whim, and I'm not saying Wim's feeling this, but I had that like oof. Like one of the most distinct moments in my life is right after I moved to LA. I was 23. A friend from high school got married. We went to the wedding. His dad was retiring after 45 years in the machine shop at our high school. He was the shop teacher at high school. And my buddy was taking over for him the next month and had his life set for him, right? From my point of view. It freaked me the bleep out. Whereas, like, he's getting married, he's going to have kids. And by the way, he has a wonderful family. I still see him on Facebook. Everything's good. Long career, consistency, safety, comfort. For me, a prison. And this moment with her saying, your entire future comes down to this test. You will know what you're going to be based on this. Man, that made me want to run into a forest with my space bike and get out of here. Baby, we were born to run indeed. So love that moment. We can dive in deeper. Speaking of, and maybe because of that, I connected that, the pushing the bikes through the woods. Joseph, you said earlier, and I agree with it, some of the stuff is like on the nose. It's not subtle. It's like, here's what we're doing. And a lot of great stories, including Lord of the Rings, involve going into force, or this is the farthest I've ever been from home. That vibe works for me. I'm excited to see it explored directly in Star Wars, where it's not a homage or a pull from something else. It is, nope, bikes, kids, fear, the future, adventure. It's all there. And to your point, Jen, it was it looked great. I'll use cinematic because I lack the vocabulary because I didn't go on to a 4-year school. I lacked the vocabulary to say, but it had something big to me. It was a big moment that I'm excited to feel on the small screen. And I said it before, but watching the key float, I do think it's magical. Whether it's strings, magnets, something else we're going to find out. Whether he's a Sith and he's part of the rule of 2, I don't know. Does he know the stranger? I don't know. Don't care. I loved that moment. I buy into it. The music, I don't know if it's been announced who's done the music. It is a son of someone famous is what I've heard. So I won't step on the announcement. But it's great. I love that moment. I love that moment. It got me excited. That's why I think I'm so excited and hopeful for Jordan Nawad to be what it appears to be, Force user. So those are some of my moments. But Joseph, your thoughts on bikes, woods, and all of it?
All of it. I hope Jordan Nawad is a Jedi. I hope it's revealed that there was a competition to name him and Paul McCartney won. I want to believe that dreams are real. It could all be a Jordan Nawad. No, I really agree, and I think you're picking out some of the elements that I think just give it great depth. That this test will determine everything. That to me speaks of the well-intentioned safety of a parent wanting a kid to have their entire life set. Of you're not going to have to scrape. You're not going to have to hide your identity from an awful government. You're not going to have to fight in a civil war. Everything's going to be perfect and controlled for you. It is to me implied by that. And there is nothing wrong with doing well on a test. And sometimes you do take tests that are make or break. But a lot of us also have experiences in life where we scramble to get that, GPA, and no one ever in the entire world asks about your GPA again. And I think it is about this vibe that is learning is great. This is not a criticism of learning or studying or doing well on test, but also that some people need experiential. We learn different. We experience different. When I was starting to do improv, I saw a friend of mine who I looked up to had a book about improv. I was like, can I read that? And he's like, yeah, but it's like reading about skiing. You're going to get something out of it, but you have to, this is a thing you have to experience to also be, to have a complete knowledge and an experience. And I felt like that tension was really there in that line, that Wim is a kid who's like, I can memorize everything about the galaxy, but I need to see it with my own eyes to truly know what it is. So I love that tension. I agree with you. I don't know if the show will go as sort of dark as Stand By Me, but what I really like of that, there's a vibe of, do you want to see a dead ship in the woods? That it isn't just we're playing around, we happen to come upon it. It's that desire to find something. There was one house that we lived in for only like 6 months, and behind the yard there was just this kind of woods, and we used to go out and play in there. But it was also kind of the height of stranger danger and the D&D fear and fear of adults putting candy in putting razors in candy. Right. So I remember feeling like those kids of like, I'm terrified of those woods at night, and all I want to do is play in them during the day and find a dead body. And that push pull of it. And I think it's great. Getting back to the actual question, Ken, of the favorite shots. I love the kind of rotted skeleton type thing that turns towards them. That gets to that dead body vibe. I really liked a lot of the aliens and the weirdos, the wolf guy bounty hunter vibe, the weird little owl guy, which is very 80s, very dark crystal, looked great. Jawas drinking at the bar. It was great to see classic Jawas, but they're just like We're drinking at a bar. It's great.
We're off today.
I think the combined shots that also spoke to me was that opening shot of Wim staring up at the wooden toy spaceships, and then later seeing actual X-Wings zipping over, which really, again, spoke to that, like that the dream of it, the fantasy of it, the importance of the toys of it, and then what's it like to experience it in reality.
I love that X-Wing moment. Yeah. Great pull.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some great moments indeed. And my palms are getting sweaty thinking about all these tests that we have to take in life. So that's some of our favorite moments there. But we want to dive into some of the other information. The show's first official key art was revealed. Great shot. We have 2 planets in a wide open sky hanging over the 4 kids, almost kind of the shadowy versions of the 4 kids running from their space bikes into what we believe or have been told is the Onyx Cinder. I like that Star Wars ship name. It's a good one. I'm excited to explore that. So thoughts on the art in general? Jen, what do you feel this conveys here?
1980s. I actually went back and looked at the ET poster. I looked at Cocoon because I was like, I feel like it looks like Cocoon. The composition is very similar, although not necessarily related to Cocoon's plot. But it just has that like nostalgic retro 80s vibe. And I really, really like that they're leaning into it. I love how the characters are running. It's not just that they're like, there's a sense of danger, there's a sense of urgency, but there's also a sense of like, it looks very stylized. So it seems kind of fantastical. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, right there with you. You know, they are very clear. They're centered. You see it, but they're also so small in comparison to this large galaxy about to roll out in front of them. And I think it's you know, it's a poster worthy hanging on the wall. And I really, truly mean that. I really, truly mean it. This is a great piece of Star Wars art for me. I really got immediately pulled in by the vibe, by what's going on. And if you're trying to sell this show as a, you know, not a story just for kids, but a story about kids to experience this Star Wars galaxy we've all grown up with, many different generations in that statement. I think this is one of my favorite posters in a while in Star Wars. But Joseph, I want to lean on you and some of your skills in this area. What do you take from this poster?
Yeah, I really love it, and I really agree with what you were saying, Jennifer, about a sense of movement, in a sense of action to it. I think we've had a long time in Hollywood where we lean toward posters that are kind of mythic, of a lot of people posing or maybe looking to the horizon. I got the Kenobi poster that I love, but it's just Kenobi just being like, ugh. you know, Vader's centered in his heart, and it's a beautiful, and it tells that story. This is these little figures running from one fast moving device to this other fast moving device. It is on the horizon. It is at dusk. It is at this moment of change, and everything about it. When I look at the poster, makes me go like, show me the next panel in this cartoon where they get on the ship and where it takes off. There's a sense of let's go about it, which I really like. But then at the same time, it is very moody. I will try to justify the money I spent on my college degree with my favorite word that was taught to me by a college professor, which is crepuscular, meaning of the twilight. I love how much it is of the twilight, that the sun is setting. So on the bottom, it's got all this warmth and this familiarity, and you can almost feel the sun on the side of those kids' face. But up above them is the darkness in the unknown, and the darkness in the unknown looks both, glorious and overwhelming and scary, and also, got the just great, blue, orange, teal, orange contrast there. So there's a ton of great things for me going on in this poster that is very evocative of what the show is about.
I love that. Evocative. Crepuscular has nothing to do with fast food. Nothing to do with fast food.
We can eat it at the twilight.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I'm lost in wonder looking at it right here. I ain't lying, friends. This is. I love the ship. I love the design. It's an older ship in Star Wars Galaxy, so it's got kind of I don't know, just got a classic prequel era kind of feel to it, but it's also I don't know, clunky like the Rebellion. It's got a lot of things I love, and yeah, just the whole team running, and Neil probably still going. What do you mean that's a spaceship? What do you mean?
You know, and we might get a follow-up poster that is mostly Jude Law's head. But like, as I'm working on producing a film, there are rules out there about how big whose head should be on the poster
Right.
if you want to make a sale. That is a brutal reality, and I think there's also something about this of like this is a poster, and they can afford to do it because of it's Disney and Star Wars that is selling the show, not who is in the show, and that's kind of nice to have that difference.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, you're speaking about some truths in the business here. Once those agents and managers start saying whose head should be a certain size or whose name will be above the it's a harsh reality. So I'm glad this exists because I know what you're talking about too. We got a ton of those posters of all the heads in a in a little shape in the center of the poster and all that stuff, and not a lot of them are done well, but yeah, I think this is a great teaser poster, some key art there. So hey, show creators John Watts and Christopher Ford had 2 quotes emerge this weekend, a lot of quotes and a lot more I'm sure will be out there. Watts said this: at its core, it's a story about wanting to explore a world that's bigger than your own. I think that's something that people can relate to no matter how old you are. Ford said, and setting a new group of characters off on their first adventure is fascinating, especially getting to see how they will grow over time. So I think both these are solid theme statements and ideas very much present in Star Wars. But as we close with the final deep question here, how do we feel this series will explore those ideas, those tenets of Star Wars in a new way, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, I do love that it is so directly connected to the beginning of it all, of your first step into a larger world, and Luke staring at the twin sunsets. But I do think it has variety from that. In the big trilogies, I think that need to explore is on Luke, it's on Anakin, it's on Rey, and with the exception of Anakin in the Phantom Menace, he's quickly aged up. Those are mostly trilogies about a single young adult going on this sort of journey of destiny. It feels different to me and fresh to have a set of younger kids going on it together. A little like maybe the Gathering arc of the Clone Wars, but with the difference of like those kids are already, in the Jedi system, and they know it's a trial to face their fears. I love the idea of maybe Wim's the one looking at the stars, and Neil is just always confused, and to your point, Ken, asking what's going on. One of the other kids is like, there's a scientific answer for everything. And one of the other kids is like, I want to be home playing my Dreamcast, totally just guessing what the characters' perspectives are. But I think that's going to add some freshness to this classic Star Wars vibe of your first step into a larger galaxy is having young kids with multiple perspectives on it, multiple ways to grow from it.
Well said. Look, I'm already on board with Neil for a lot of reasons. Not making fun of him, but I was a little bit of that kid. As much as I said I wanted to get out of town and figure it out or eventually, I also was a scared little kid. And not saying Neil's scared, but I would have been the one like, what do you mean we're going to leave? Our parents said no. What do you mean we're going to get on that ship? What do you mean we're doing this? And I hope that plays out with Neil. I hope he represents a little bit of that, but I'm open to all the ideas there. So, Jen, your thoughts on what Watts and Ford have said and how we're going to explore this all in a new way?
I think that they're hoping for a second and third season. I think that we're going to see these actors grow up. I'm excited to see this ensemble cast. I have a feeling, that just the actual act of being cast in a Star Wars series, being on set every day, you really form strong bonds with your co-stars. And I think that this cast is going to have a very strong bond, great chemistry that we're going to see on screen. And I think we're going to fall in love with these characters. We're going to get invested with them. We're going to find ourselves in all of them. And I think that we can see, like Harry Potter, we can see how they can literally grow up before our eyes over the second and third seasons. I also really like where they are in the timeline, and kind of it just feels like it's a story off on the side. Like, yes, it's adjacent. Things are connected, but it just feels like there's a lot more room to play, a lot, not as much bogged down by canon or boxed in, which sometimes I feel like these stories can feel like, although creators do their best to not feel like that, boxed in. But I'm excited because I think we're going to see a lot of new elements in this show for that reason.
Wow. Yeah. Follow-up thoughts, Joseph?
Yeah. I love it from this perspective talking about the business side of it, because that quote of getting to see how they will grow over time could just mean like, yeah, we got 8 episodes and they're going to be really changed by the time they get
Mhm.
home. Could absolutely
Mhm.
mean that, or in the era that we're in, where streaming decisions about when to renew can be difficult, and it has become the onus of the creators to hype up the audience, so the audience will yell inefficiently at decision makers because we have no formal way to do it.
Mm.
But so it could already be pushing for a second and a third season. And saying right now, getting to see how they will grow over time, I'm really on the same wavelength as Jennifer here. I think that we have had so much storytelling in Star Wars, like Ahsoka's cool. She can die in Order 66. Kanan and
Mm.
Ezra, they gotta go. And now
Mhm.
even with
Mhm.
Grogu, like Kylo Ren gonna get him. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the gift and the curse of these timelines. And I wonder if like these creators are like, we know exactly what happens to Jordan and Norwood. Like we know which ship
Mm.
these kids are on in the Battle of Exegol. Like we know. For once, we're starting with, do we know? And if we have time to tell the story, we know
Mhm.
what happens to these kids. That's a lot for me to speculate off of that quote,
Mm.
but that's where my mind went, is creators who've watched other people go through this. If they have an idea of, we know the long-term story we would love to tell with these kids and where they end up in the story.
Look, this all ends up in Filoni's movie where Neil says to Thrawn, "What do you mean you're the Grand Admiral of the new Empire? What do you mean?" But I think I'm on the same wavelength with both of you about this idea, Jen, that you said, a story on the side, meaning all this is going around. We know Vane's there. We know the pirates, and we know maybe, a lot of people are calling for a resurrected Gorian shard or yes. We know it's there, but it doesn't need to be fully entrenched. It's just happening during this time, and the time represents a lot of story possibilities of rebuilding the galaxy, forming identities, and to this thing of the 4 of them going and growing. Like, yeah, I like the idea that, like you said, Joseph, you put it out there, like it's a team getting older. It's a team. It's not just a team changing, like say Bad Batch, who goes through great changes, but like this is I'm sure this won't be the last any one of us invokes this, or that any of the conversations in the Star Wars fandom invoke this. But Star Wars is for 12-year-olds. This is literally that now, right? This is dead straight on new adventure for young adults going into a larger world, and to see them go into that together. And as John Watts says, it's something that people can relate to no matter how old you are. How many times, How many times have the 3 of us said, "I'm about to start something new," and that's we're all in the wilderness with our bikes. All through your life is about leaving your bikes behind as you go into a new set of woods. So I'm excited to explore that. I was blessed to host a panel last December with some behind the scenes Lucasfilm people, and I was joking before. I was like, I'm not going to ask you any gotcha questions. I'm not going to try to get scoops on the Skeleton Crew. And one of the behind the scenes people just said very gruffly, "I'll give you a scoop. They're already too old." So this show was shot a while ago. If this is going to continue, they're going to be aged up a few years. But I think that's a good thing. I think if they decide to go forward, it'd be fun to see a new nucleus grow together.
Yeah, the Stranger Kids kids are going to be about 40 by the time they get that final season out.
Yes.
So
yes,
it'll be fine. I hope this second season comes out and like and Neil has like an old grunge goatee coming out under his little snoot.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Too real. Yeah, Billy Bobby Brown married already. It happens. It happens. But I think you could use that to the show's and the story's advantage.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see. And if it's just a one shot, one series, and these characters appear elsewhere, I think that would be great as well. What a great foundation. What a great building block for these characters. All right. Any final thoughts before we close up? Jen, anything on the Skeleton Crew reveal?
No, gosh, they are a little bit too old. And on that, thinking about the logistics of the business side of it, you want to cast like, 8-year-olds, and then they scramble to get the second season up and running, at least with those Disney Channel shows, or Gabby's Dollhouse, which I did notice that she aged up a bit.
Aging, it happens to all of us, right?
I know. It's the realities of the business.
Stop it.
You can't stop it. Anyways, no, I'm excited about this show. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Joseph?
Yeah, now that I'm really excited about digging into this teaser, very excited for the mood and the vibes and the fun of this. I do hope that the show is the structure and the pacing is a little bit similar to The Mandalorian, where The Mandalorian
Mm.
can sometimes take its time with the story it's telling that season, but
Mm-hmm.
each episode is kind of broken off of like they go to this planet and they have this adventure and this conflict and that conflict wraps up and then they're off to the next planet. So I hope that just structurally, like we were talking about that poster, how the poster makes you want to get on your bike and go. I hope the show gives us that too, where the episodes are long enough that you have one complete adventure, or if it's broken up in the middle, like it's a really good old school serial cliffhanger of like
Mm.
Neil is falling into the lava and he's gonna die, and that's the cliffhanger. And there's not been any trailer that's showing us when Neil catches the ledge. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hope for good complete one episode is its own adventure while telling the big
Mm-hmm.
story, or big exciting serial cliffhangers to keep that spirit of adventure, exploration, danger, all these themes that are in the show. I really hope that the structure of the show allows them to shine.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, no final big thoughts for me other than I'm truly excited for the series. And I was intrigued when it was announced. I had a little bit of the, okay, we'll see how that goes. Jude Law in Star Wars, that's kind of wonderfully weird. Like, I never would thought that would have happened. Here it is, a year later after the show was allegedly supposed to be released last year. Obviously, the strikes maybe affected that. We don't know for sure, we want to add. But here we are, 2 episodes dropping on December 3rd. I loved what the Acolyte took us through. I loved that it challenged us. Ahsoka was stoic and somber at times, and Bad Batch is both fun and sad and bittersweet and thought-provoking. I think this series is going to do all those things, but I find myself now more than ever just really ready to take this adventure with these kids, and I'm excited for what's coming. Fun question to end, though. This is kind of a big question. If we were kids in the Star Wars galaxy, what wondrous adventure would we want to have? Jennifer, where are you taking your space bike?
I would be Wim, wanting to search for that Jedi temple, stumbling upon a ship. That is 100% me. And just ended up getting into mischief, if you will.
Mischief. I like
Yeah.
the mischief. Yeah.
Nice.
Joseph, you causing yourself some mischief here?
Yes, I've gone into the dark woods too often now. No, I was trying to think of like, well, what are the kinds of things that I would want to experience? And I was thinking about that opening shot of Wim staring up at that sort of a diorama of a floating diorama of wooden toys. And it made me think about how a lot of the toys that we see in Star Wars in canon are homemade. And it makes sense for Star Wars to be sort of authentic and organic and all that. But just like, are there no toy businesses in Star Wars? Are these all, independent, custom made? You find some weirdo on a hill who will carve you a wampa,
Yes.
or make a weird stormtrooper puppet. So
Yes.
I would want to wander onto a ship that is like an aspiring, Star Wars space toy maker,
Yeah.
Willy Wonka type, who's like trying to go to the ancient toy foundries and start up mass production of toys again. The galaxy can finally have them. Did Palpatine shut down all the toy factories to stop joy so you could only have carved ones made by your, artsy aunt who lives on the coast? No. I want to go on an adventure with the toy maker who's going to start up the ancient foundries and pump them out.
I love the idea of Star Wars touching on the Willy Wonka genre. That's a style we need to see in Star Wars. That's amazing. The Toy Maker, a Star Wars story. Love that. For me, look, I wish I was the one who was like, let's go on, let's find a ship, let's get on out of here. But I frightened little kid. So I just wish growing up, and wasn't my parents' fault, we didn't do a lot of traveling. We couldn't do a lot of traveling. It was the 80s. The middle class was being crushed and erased. But I wish I had got to experience, even what I do now, traveling for comedy or conventions, just walking around a new city. Walking around, I finally got to experience a new country. Like those kind of things are big, and not everyone gets to experience that. And it doesn't have to be this enlightening, but there is this. You're connected. We're all connected to something larger than ourselves. And Wim being frightened by a test determining his future, or even a town or a setting, one world determining your future, that's the Star Wars adventure I would have. I would want it to be a little structured, no one running away, no one lost. Maybe I get to go to Naboo and just experience what that is like. Maybe I get to go to Cloud City and experience what that is like. I'd like to just go around the galaxy with my space bike tucked away in a spaceship. So that is what I would like. That is it. That is it, friends. We are done looking at Skeleton Crew for now. I'm sure a full trailer will come, more information, and yeah, the normal round of creator conversations, which will be full of insights and maybe dance along the line of spoilers, but we'll touch those as they come. We are ForceCenter. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. Instagram as well. And you can subscribe to us here on YouTube if you'd like to see it. Our Faces podcast is still the heart of the show, and it's available in a lot of spots. Just search. You'll find us, or Spots. Merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter, and patreon.com is where you can, patreon.com/ForceCenter is where you can support us directly. Jen's been just ripping it up there in the Discord. You're new star, Jen. I love it. You're having Jen made her debut. Getting there and have some great conversations with Star Wars fans. You can follow me at Ken Napzok on my website, kennapzok.com. Got a show coming up in San Francisco on the 23rd, but more important, got a show at the end of this week, August 16th, a big birthday variety show and hosted by, put on by Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm excited to be there. And you don't just have to be in LA, as Joseph will explain. You can watch live on the internet via the power of the computer. It's going to be a lot of fun Friday night. Joseph, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so the show is called Horror Years Old. I've been excited about it. I'm extra excited about it now because I actually wrote my stand-up sets, and I have to memorize them. It's the end of this week. Ken is going to be on the show, Hal Lublin as well, Audrey Kearns, my friend Laser, all sorts of great people that I've really loved performing with in Los Angeles over the years that I've been here. So I'm really excited to share that. I think it's going to be a really fun show, but also just be honest that aging is difficult and trying to have some camaraderie about it and some fun about that truth. The show is at the Lyric Hyperion here in Los Angeles, Friday, August 16th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. But we are live streaming it as well. And this question has come up. If you buy a ticket to the live stream, you'll get the link emailed to you the day of the show, and I'm going to keep the live stream up for a week. So we have many wonderful Force Center listeners who either live in a different part of the world or, hey, go to bed at a reasonable hour. So if you'd like to buy a live stream ticket, you can watch the show for up to a week. We're at about half of the live stream tickets that we need to make it all work financially. So if you're curious about seeing it, it would be a tremendous help if you took a look at that. Information on my website at josephscrimshaw.com.
There you go. Before we get out of here, Jen's going to tell us where to find and follow her, and maybe get a little study help for any future finals, Jen.
Yeah, the science component in fall coming up in a couple weeks. But you can find me in the meantime at Jennifer Landa on most social media sites, and at Jennifer Landa 1138 on TikTok.
There you go. There you go. We'll see you next time, my friends. The adventure is about to begin. Grab your space bikes. See you next time.